I think, from what you describe, it also sort of tells us that maybe Australia's culture is a little bit more like Nepal in terms of, the work-life balance and family and so on, that maybe makes it a little bit easier for families to adapt. Pani hola.
Yeah, no, a lot easier. I'll tell you how it works even in MTX, right? At 3 p.m. in the afternoon, right? Generally, we don't have meetings.
Oh, after
exactly at 3 p.m. No, not after 3 p.m. After 3 p.m. we do exactly at 3 p.m. School pickup time. So school pickup time, it's really important. You got to go and pick up kids, right? So at 3 p.m. between 2:45 to 3:15, it's a block up, basically, right? So we do meetings after that. We sometimes work 6, 7 p.m. late, right? But that time is important. You go and pick up your family. The other thing important that I have had to learn about the culture is your kids and family comes first, period.
Right.
Doesn't matter what it is, period, right? And it's something either I was not aware, and I didn't, I had a very young daughter when I moved to Australia, so I hadn't experienced it a lot, but I always thought in the US, there were lots of compromise that parents were making.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Like
here,
here
the compromise is less so, right? They focus more on kids. They get the work done. Don't get me wrong. They work late.
But if you normalize it, it makes it so much easier, right? I think it's about organizations and people normalizing these things that, this is a priority monitor, right? If it's otherwise, it's so much harder. Just to compare US Australia, I remember, working in New York City and child pickup, yesterday 2-3 baje kati baje ko lagi. So, I live in New Jersey, about half an hour away. So, biana drop off, school drop off, work, and then I would have to leave early to, pick up and then work from home, right? Just because there were no other sort of parents, and also the company, but I guess the cultural pani within, I felt like I was a thief, like this started throwing in, and like people sort of subtle hisabले पनि make you feel like you're doing something wrong, right? When it's not normalized, even if you're making up for that, action go break, it's so I know that
here it is so normalized that it's actually encouraged, right? Go spend time, right? Because you're not going to get that, right? Put your kids to bed and get your work done after that, right? Like work needs to be done, obviously, but that flexibility and that normalization is really, really key. And another quick example that we've had is when we had our first one in Connecticut, right? And Trisma was still working for a company called FactSet, which is also based in Stamford, Connecticut, right? It's a financial services firm, and I think she took. It was very generous. FactSet had a very, very generous maternity leave policy, and she took, I think, 2 months off after having that, right? And that felt like, oh my God! Again, same sentiment. Right? Same sentiment that you had. Guess what? When we had Avis here in Australia, 1 year.
Insane. I can't even imagine that.
1 year. And she extended it further. She went back and she realized, no, I can't do it. I just can't do it. Right? Like it's and when Trisma said that, my response was like, just we'll handle it. Just quit, right? Or let them know. And she let them know, and she had a job going back again, right? So that kind of a culture is so different. It's 1 year. You don't get paid, but it doesn't matter. Like you get paid for, I think, depending on company policy, 3 months, 6 months, whatever that is. But your job is kept intact for a year.
Which is so important, right? And I think, really, your immigrant communities, we're facing so many things in terms of paperwork, science, science, so many other issues, to have to navigate all of this, right? The fear of not having a job, or loss of income. They can everything come and say, I think just having a culture that understands it, makes it so much better. So completely understand. So now we know why there are so many people, so many Nepalis in Australia, right? I mean, it just, I think, and thank you for sharing that. Kinabani kati times say, I think, one place versus another command. So there's so many differences. Kati times that those differences are very highlighted. And kati times these are subtle things that unless you go through it, you don't even know these things.
You don't even know. No, and there are two more finer points on, and not plugging in Australia as such, because I'm going to say the positive side of the US and positive side of Australia for young people at least, right? Positive side of the US, education, phenomenal. You will not get the same, unless you go to some of the elite university in Australia, and they're far and few between, right? Few and far between. The education system in the US, college education system, not high school, college. Exceptional. I love it. I studied there. I've seen people who went to universities here, and I can see a difference, right? US is by far the best. Now, the next thing, once you graduate, what do? You want to, as an immigrant, you want to establish yourself, right? Like if your goal is to live either in Australia or US, now that's where Australia makes it easier, right? Yeah, the immigration system in Australia is, I wouldn't call it fair is not the right definition, because US has a different policy and different politics involved here. But it is easier. It is easier for immigrants like us who apply yourself and follow. So essentially, if you follow the path,
there's a process. It's not a lottery.
It is not a lottery. It is not whether you're going to get it or not. There are no hurdles. No. It's just follow the process.
Get
enough points.
Canada does it, right?
Canada does it. Exactly. It's just like Canada, in similar capacity. And there are a variety of different programs, regional programs. If you don't qualify in a bigger city, you can go to a smaller city and the city will sponsor it, all of that. So what it does is it opens up that freedom and door to do a lot of things. And that's why lots of Nepalese here are involved in business, because their permanent residency is done, right? Now they can follow the passion,
explore,
so to say.
Right.
Yes, exactly. And that's what I've seen a lot of people here, as soon as they get their permanent residency, quick job, start a business.
Exactly. And I think that's true all over as well, right? When we see entrepreneurs, from Asia and anywhere around the world, you see a lot of them due to societyको pressure, आफ्नै upbringing, that they'll do a job just because they need the green card or whatever, right? Ani त्यो once they're on the other side of the table, they're ready to showcase what they've always wanted. So
Absolutely.
very interesting to hear about all of this.